All right, everybody. Welcome to another WaveForm Unhinged podcast. Today, it might not be as controversial as the last one. We'll see how it goes. Uh, but we have the one and only Mr. Mike Myers. I would be plugging in one of those like cool horror stories, like soundtracks, but this is extremely
Oh
low
yeah.
budget, so we don't have that. So, Mike, what's up, dude? Introduce yourself for the people who don't know who you are, which is be hard to imagine people don't know who you are, but just tell us a little bit about you.
Right. Well, my name's Michael Myers, unfortunately. And
Coolest name out there.
yeah. Yeah. And I live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Um, work at a place called the Sound Factory over here. And
You own that, correct?
me and my brother, yeah, co-own that business since about 2018. It's when we
Okay.
purchased it from the original owner. Yeah.
Got you. So I'm going to start off with a couple questions, and then, like these podcasts typically go, they'll just go their own direction. But the first question I'm going to ask is like, how did you start in audio? I feel like we all have that one magic moment in life, that we remember, like, that's how I got into it. So do you have any of those cool
Yeah.
stories?
Yeah. I mean, so the earliest um, time that I remember being into audio in general is my dad was really into classic rock and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so when we were I guess I was in middle school at the time and he wanted to build some new house speakers. He was a real do it yourself kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we went with him and he bought like some horn tweeters and like uh, cone mids, like a closed back cone mid from like Radio Shack. And
Oh,
then
you're
he went to
you're dating
yeah,
yourself, buddy.
yeah. And then we went to a car stereo store. And that one was called, I think it was called Cartoons.
Okay.
And it had like a CRX inside, had like a wall of woofers in it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I thought that was the coolest thing. But anyway, so when we were there, he bought like four Rockford Fosgate Series 1 10-inch. So he wanted to make two per cabinet, for
Okay.
these home towers that we were building. And so he let me and Chris, help sand the enclosures and stain them and all that kind of stuff. And so ever since then, we were kind of really intrigued, with audio in general.
Yeah.
And then, of course, fast forward a few years later and you start driving. And of course, stereo was still a huge interest of mine. So, you get your first car and you want to put stereo in it.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of grew from there. I mean, even before I could drive, I had a subscription to just about all of the car audio magazines. So, car audio and electronics and auto sound security and
Hmm.
car stereo review. So, I was always looking through those magazines and stuff. And we didn't really have a lot of contests and stuff in this area. So one day, finally, they had one kind of in the Pigeon Forge area. My dad took me and my brother over there, and there were some really pretty cool cars. Mike
Hmm.
Minio's car was there. Earl Earl Wills, his truck was there.
Okay.
Some really cool vehicles at the time. And unfortunately, it wasn't one of those contests where you could demo, what these things sounded like. You could really just sort of see what they looked like.
Hmm.
So even though we kind of saw the installation, which was absolutely incredible, I still had no idea really what competition sound quality for cars kind of sounded like,
Okay.
or what to kind of shoot for.
Yeah.
And then I graduated in 95 and then started going to Tennessee Institute of Electronics to kind of learn more of the electronic background for car audio. Well, just electronics in general, but my main interest for after that was to be like a car stereo installer, which unfortunately was a way easier thing to accomplish than I expected.
Yeah.
So we went in 1996. We went to the IASCA finals over in Greenville, South Carolina, at the Palmetto Expo Center, and that was a real eye-opening experience. I mean, it was the most well, I mean, just car stereo vehicles I'd seen in one place. I mean,
Okay.
that was back in the day when every manufacturer had like a booth and a car in their booth,
Yeah, I
to
heard
kind
back
of
in the day was like crazy, like sponsorships, and there were
it
hundreds of
was
cars.
it was amazing. I mean, it really was. I kind of wish everybody could experience that because it was kind of life changing for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good or bad life change, but anyway, the so we walked around to all the manufacturers booths, and people would give out T-shirts and
Mm.
CDs. I mean, they had places that sold CDs and all kinds of stuff. And then you go on to the other side, and that's where the competitors were for the sound quality and even some of the SPL guys. And we got to listen to a few cars. That was the first time we got to actually listen to sound quality vehicles.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to listen to Mark Eldridge's Forerunner at that time. And at that time, I think he had I think it was Kicker at that time. And it was unbelievable. I mean, it was really a setting the bar super duper high straight out of the gate for something that we wanted to achieve. Later on,
Yeah.
we didn't really have the money to do that. Because I was like 2 years out of high school, or like 1 year out of high school,
Yeah.
making just barely over minimum wage, so I could like afford my car insurance and gas, and that's about
Yeah.
it. But we really wanted to do it, and so anyway, Chris was still in high school at the time, when we went, but it was pretty incredible. So after that, we were kind of dead set on making some kind of a competition stereo. Took a long time, but we got there.
Yeah.
And then, so after that, I started working at the Sound Factory in 1997 after I graduated from Tennessee Institute of Electronics.
Okay.
And so I started there in probably, I think, February or something like that, kind of
Mhm.
part time until I graduated, and then full time. Then, somewhere around about a year later, we needed a window tinner, and we ended up hiring Chris, my brother,
Gotcha.
as one of the window tinners. But he already kind of knew about as much stereo stuff as I did because we just sort of learned together.
Yeah. Yeah. Just at home, like building your own cars, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and plus, I'd already been installing some at the Sound Factory for about a year,
Gotcha.
and so I was just teaching him the same stuff as I learned it.
Yeah.
So, and we worked there for quite a few years. I think I worked there from '97 to about 2003, and after that, I left and worked at another stereo store called Audio Specialties. And Chris had left and was working at Circuit City at that time.
Okay.
And he worked at Circuit City all the way up until they closed all
Hmm.
of the Circuit
Oh,
Cities. So
yeah.
he was there a long time. And I worked at Audio Specialties up until they closed that place, which was 2007. I started at Best Buy 2008.
Hmm.
And I worked at Geek Squad first in the car audio section until they had an opening for the home theater installation. And then I
Gotcha.
worked home theater install all the way up until I left in 2018. And
And that's
that's
when you
when,
purchased.
yeah, yeah, Chris was already at the Sound Factory managing it. So after Circuit City kind of closed, he was working at Easy Rentals and stuff like that as a manager.
Hmm.
And then he wasn't super happy. They kept moving him around. And so Steve, the guy that owned the Sound Factory Time, wanted someone to help manage it, the day to day. And so Chris started working back to Sound Factory at least, I don't know, 5, 6 years before I got back over there.
Yeah.
And so that helped make the SBA loan go a lot smoother and stuff like that because he already worked there
Yeah.
and was managing the business. So yeah, so we've been there since 2018 doing that.
Awesome, dude. And it seems it's going really well. I see some cars that you guys are putting out doing extremely well. Like Wayne's car. I know the Jaguar did good last year at finals, but he was like, I want more. So now he has a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, the Jaguar, I mean, he probably should tell that story, but the Jaguar had some problems, as some Jaguars do. And going back home from finals, it had like a breakdown. So that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And then he just got rid of it. And he already had the Cadillac as a daily driver, I think.
gotcha.
So he just decided to put a stereo in that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I mean, for the past few years, we've been, you know, most of our business is just the same as everybody's car stereo business is, amp installs and remote starts and stuff like that. But the part that I end up focusing on is the fabrication
mm,
and sound quality oriented builds and, tuning and things like that.
yeah, yeah. And let's move forward onto the tuning part because since I've met you, when was that? 2020. I think 2020.
Yeah, which
It was the Lone Star at the Lowe's parking lot.
that was 21.
Was that
I
21?
think I think so.
I don't remember which one. One of
Well,
those.
yeah, because I had the shop van there, so that was 21.
Okay, was that the same year that the finals was at the barn? Was
Yeah,
that 21? Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
21, that was when me and Josh went to Lone Star. That was our first event ever going.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and we
that
didn't
was
know.
a fun show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't know anybody given.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and I saw Clifton. Now that I know it's Clifton, I didn't know it was Clifton, like with his hair on fire. Um,
Yeah.
but that was the time, and me and my buddy Josh, we always kind of make a funny joke about it because it was a time where you hopped in his truck and you hopped out. You're like, it sounds a lot better than it looks, and it was like a
Yeah.
running joke that him and I have because he still has the same truck. I've switched I don't know how many cars already,
Yeah.
and he's always like, it doesn't look pretty, but Mike Myers said it sounds better than it looks, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that
Um,
was one of those times, and that's kind of a tricky part sometimes as a judge, is you kind of have to hear around what you see.
yeah, yeah.
And his, I think if I remember right, like it wasn't like finished like
It's never finished.
cosmetically,
It's never finished for him. He's just always
Yeah,
tinkering with it.
yeah. So the cosmetics weren't really kind of up to, I would say, a real flashy standard.
Yeah,
So when you see that, you don't know what level of competency or that the person has. So you kind of expect it to not be a really top notch sounding vehicle. But
yeah,
that one really surprised me. It sounded fantastic.
yeah. It did. It sounded really good, and he's gotten it to even sound better, even though it still doesn't look the best. It just keeps. I gave him a pair of Arc Audio RS3s that I had laying around.
Oh yeah,
Um,
those are good.
those are really good. He likes those a lot. But you were one of your, and I tell you this constantly, but like you're definitely one of my mentors. And you're one of the people that like I look up to for many, many things. But especially when it comes to like tuning and how you tune, it's always been a sound that I've always been like searching for. Um, and it's funny now that I tune for other people, and then I hear the cars that you tune, I tune. I'm like, wow, those sound extremely similar. It's
Yeah.
crazy how we both kind of like, or I've not both, but I've merged to have a similar sound profile that you have.
Yeah, I remember, what was it, the first one down in Birmingham, the finals down there,
Yep,
and
yep.
I'd listened to your car. I think I was judging, and
You
I was like, man, that sounds really good. It sounds really similar to my car. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that was because that was my first, what I would consider my first finals. That was in 23.
Yeah,
Uh, because the first finals I went to back in 21, I didn't know anything about audio because I only went to that one Lone Star
yeah.
show that I didn't know was Lone Star, and then I went to finals and I didn't know it was finals. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean I had no clue. I was at that point I was active duty military, so like that's all I cared about.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like I didn't really know, and it was like we looked at it, it's like this is happening. We are like, that's not too far from us. That's when I lived in Shreveport. So him and I just hopped in our car and just drove up there. Like
Nice.
we didn't have no invitation, nothing. Like we didn't know even needed an invitation. So I remember going in, we're like, how do we sign up? They're like, what's your name? And I'm like, Miguel Rios. They're like, we don't know who you are. I was like, yeah, pretty much. Can I get in? They're like, I guess. And they're like, what's in your car? And I told them. They're like, so what class you in? I'm like, I don't know.
You
What
tell
class
me.
am I in?
Yeah.
And I still do the same thing to this day. I have no class on me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I build my car for me. But it's like, I remember them putting me in the 3X event, which, I now
Yeah.
know is
Yeah.
a 3X. I didn't know it was a 3X then. I didn't know anything. And I remember like scoping you out. And I'm just like, hey, Mike, I'm not sure if you remember us, but we were there in Texas. Can you hop in my car? And I remember you saying, you were like, dude, it doesn't sound bad, but 80 hertz, I can't believe I'm saying this, is way too much.
Yeah.
And then like, I know now, I know why, but I remember getting out and I told Josh, I was like, dude, he says he likes it. It just 80 hertz is a lot. I can do that easily. So I remember like
Yeah.
pulling out my laptop and like making crazy adjustments before the judge even actually hopped in my car. So like I don't really count
Yeah.
that because I don't even know what I got. Who knows? I don't even know what class. I think I only participated in, I want to say Mecca, but I truly have no clue. So
Yeah. I was judging Ayahuasca at that one. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you weren't my judge there, but in 23 you were judging I asked. And once again, I
Yeah.
barely knew anything because my car got finished. The Mazda, the first iteration of it, got finished in August 19th, I believe. And then finals was October. So I had like 2 months to like figure out this vehicle and do all these things. So when you hopped in, I was nervous, dude. I was like, oh, Mike is judging. I was like, no. And then you hop out, you're like, dude, it's actually really good. And I was like,
It was.
really? And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I was beside myself because like one of my mentors that like I really look up to. So I want
That
to
sounds
ask
good.
you this question. And it's like, how did you get into tuning? Because back in the day, we all start with we have an amp and we have a crossover. We probably don't even know what a crossover really does.
Right.
Um, and then we kind of move forward to start understanding. So how did you get into tuning? Because you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. Because I was born in '95.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
how has it evolved throughout the years? And anything wildly different that you do now that you didn't do before?
Yeah. Well, quite a lot, So we started competing kind of off and on back in like 98. Like the first Ayahuasca contest I ever entered, it was in 98.
Okay.
And it was kind of a semi-local show,
Hmm.
but it was at a place called Penguins Auto Sound down in I think it's Cleveland, Tennessee, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And I competed at that. I think I got third at that contest. It's the first contest I ever entered.
Nice.
And but I didn't really, I mean, so we tuned it ourselves, me and Chris did, but I didn't really know a lot about tuning, just kind of what I read
Yeah.
online. And I hadn't really got a chance to hear a lot of other SQ vehicles and and get a good feeling for what the judges wanted exactly, or even how to get there, honestly. So, I mean, I knew a bit about how to set crossovers and stuff like that. I didn't really have any measurement software or any way to RTA. So, I mean, really, it's kind of like safety crossover. Like
Yeah.
these 6.5s can play down to about 80 or 90, and stuff like that. It's kind of what
Yeah.
I did. And then we sort of just EQ'd by ear using like the old Auto Sound 2000 test discs.
Okay. Yeah.
With filtered pink noise, just trying to make them sound about the same loudness by ear, which is not a super accurate way to do it, but that's all we knew how to do at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we did okay. Sound wise, it sounded fine, but there was a lot more we could do as far as imaging and stuff like that I didn't really understand. So then fast forward a few years later, and we started going to like these Nopi shows that had USAC built in. So like the Nopi Nationals, and we had one over in the Pigeon Forge area around the 2002, 2003 time range. And we were still just sort of um, doing it kind of the same way, except where I was using like one of those Radio Shack like dB meters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I would just sort of measure the sound, as it moved up from octave to octave, 1/3 octave up,
Yeah.
and just try to get them similar within the same dB range.
Yeah.
So it sound pretty even. But looking back on it, I was like, those probably didn't have enough bass because of the way I was doing it,
Yeah.
and but we ended up winning our classes for some of those contests.
Nice.
So we were getting better, and we knew a little bit about how to set delays,
Mhm.
but it was still like super rudimentary back then. Like, and the focus I was competing in 2003, I didn't have a way to change delay. I just had like 2 EQTs as signal processing,
Well,
and a 24XS as the crossover. So
yeah.
I really, the speakers were down in the kick panel, so I was trying to like, you know, do the best with path links that I could. And when you think about it, people are like, well, kick panels are way better, and the closer you can get the path links, the better off you are. And I kind of agree to a certain degree, but I think the path links were still like 8 inches different from side to side. So can you imagine, like, if you set your delays 8 inches off, what
Be
that would
pretty.
sound like?
Yeah.
It's still pretty bad,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just doing kick panels doesn't work.
No.
That's not really the magic fix like everybody sort of thinks.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't really do competition for quite a long time throughout my like Best Buy years for the most part.
Mhm.
And then Chris, when he started back at Sound Factory, he put like a system in his Ultima.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to have a black Ultima. And he went to a contest over in Murfreesboro, and the judge there was Finney Taylor. And
Okay.
so he gets back. I think he won his class, and he called me, and he's like, "Man, I went to a contest today, and I won." He's like, "Have you heard of Mecca?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never been to one of their shows."
Mhm.
I was like, "Was it fun?" He was like, "Yeah, it's really cool. I got first in my class and all this kind of stuff." I was like, "Well, next time you go, let me know. I want to go with you."
Mike, I need
And
to stop you
so,
right there. I need people to understand how good of an impression that was of Chris.
yeah,
You're like, "Yeah, it was pretty good." It's
yeah,
like, not for
yeah,
Chris.
yeah. So we went to the next one, and I got to meet Vinny, who's a super nice dude. And back at that time, if you were a brand new competitor, they would do these things called clinics. So
Okay.
before they ended up judging any of the vehicles, the judge would like sit in the vehicle and kind of listen to it and kind of give you some pointers or something like that.
Mm.
And it's kind of made for the idea is kind of for new competitors. And we were certainly new to Mecca. We had competed a couple times years and years prior in
Yeah.
sound quality, but we were definitely new again. And so this was back in 2012.
Okay.
And so then I think Chris won his class, but there wasn't many cars in his class. And we started listening to other cars that were there. So a guy named Demetrius Willingham and Mark Brooks and I think David Temple. I think Jeff Smith was at one of those with a cord. He had
Gotcha.
like these pods, like these round speaker pods
Huh.
up on his pillars,
Yeah.
Anthony Gallo speakers or something like that. And so we listened to all these other vehicles and we're like, whoa, like these are better. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, oh, so we knew a little bit about how to use a DSP because Chris had a DSP in his vehicle. It's like a Fosgate 360.2
Okay.
or point 0.3, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And so then after that, we'd listen to those cars. And Chris had his, I think, 6.5s down in the kicks and the tweeters up in the A pillars. But, that was pretty much it. And after listening to these other vehicles that had the mid ranges up top, we were like, whoa, this is the way. You know what I mean? Like, I want to build, because I didn't have a stereo. I didn't really have a vehicle at the time that was nice enough to put like a nice stereo in.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, whenever I build whatever I'm going to build, it's going to be like this. I
Yeah.
want the mids up top. And so Chris, he had got an invite to that finals, that 2012 finals.
Okay.
And we had reached out, and he had mostly hybrid audios, all hybrid audio speakers in the car.
Mhm.
And then I can't remember what amps. I think they were Image Dynamics amps.
Okay.
And so we had reached out to some of the people on Team Hybrid to see if they could help us tune for finals that year. And they declined because they weren't really part of Mecca at that time. Hybrid and Mecca weren't, the hybrid guys were mostly IASCA and stuff.
Gotcha.
So they didn't really have a good, I think, knowledge for what they
Wanted.
thought the judges would want. So they were like, you guys, they told Chris that he had won every contest up until that point.
Hmm.
He's like, look, you're doing really well. I don't really think that we can help you, honestly, that much. So after that, we were like, well, we're just going to have to learn how to do this on our own.
Yeah.
And, we had learned some from reading stuff, but no formal training. And then that year, I think he got like second to last place or something like that. So
yeah.
we didn't do very well.
The big shows came in.
So after that, we're like, look, we're going to have to learn this, like, for real. You know what I mean? It's no more messing around. So then 2013 was the next season. And I had a Nissan Frontier truck at that time.
Okay.
And then Chris still had the Altima, and we rebuilt it. So then we were kind of on a mission to really get better at tuning. You know what I mean? I bought a microphone, was using Room EQ Wizard, watching tutorials from other people, and was just reading as much as we could on like DIY mobile audio and
Was there a lot of
stuff like that.
information out there around that time?
Yeah. I mean, on Dyma, there was quite a bit. There was quite a few tutorials written up about it and stuff like that. So we had learned a lot by that. Plus, we had a pretty good ear by that time for what sounded good.
Okay.
So we could tell if it was right or wrong sounding to a degree. But at the same time, we were still learning how to fix, because I mean, tuning it's like a puzzle, it's fixing things,
Yep.
So, after that, we both went to the 2013 finals, and we both got second place in our classes. So we had done way better.
Yeah.
And so after that, I just started going to every tuning training that anybody offered. So we went to a hybrid audio tuning training in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay.
That Clifton and Scott Welch was the teachers at that one.
Mm.
That was a really good training. And then after that, I went to one of Mark Eldridge's classes, the first one. And then after that, I went to a tuning training out at Kingpin in Vegas.
Okay.
Scott Welch was tuning that one. I mean, teaching that one, and Jason Krantz and Scott Welch. And then I went to Mark's first advanced class, or right before they introduced the JL Max. He was kind of showing some of the JL Max stuff before it released, like a week before it released or something.
Okay.
So, we kind of learned a lot there. And then, so I've been to just about every tuning training that anybody's had.
Yeah.
Except for, I think, I haven't been in one of Peter's yet.
Gotcha.
But I mean, so through those tuning trainings and practicing a lot, it's really kind of how we got better. And and really immersing ourselves into sound quality competition and even judging. So by the time 2014 rolled around, we went to judges training for Mecca, and then I went to a couple more after that. So I've been to a few judges trainings for Mecca, and then I've been to judges trainings for every other sanctioning organization that exists right now, except for USAC, if they still do it.
They still.
So I don't know. I'm not sure, but I've been to all the other ones. So just trying to get an idea, what separates them and what's kind of like the sound that they're looking for,
So
And
given
all
that,
of them,
go ahead, go ahead. No,
all of them are real similar, honestly. Good sound is good sound. If it sounds right, it's going to do well in most organizations.
mhm.
The biggest difference is the focus on the score sheets. The score sheets are different, and then the music that they use to evaluate the systems.
So given that you have so much like knowledge, and right now, if I'm not mistaken, you're the head judge for ECA, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Um, do you think we'll ever get to a point, because this is the way that I kind of look at it right now, and I do want to emphasize that I still consider myself a new competitor. I've been competing for what I think 2 years now ish.
yeah,
That's been on and off. Like I competed. My last show was May, and I no longer have a car. And 23 was August. So like do the math. There's not that many months that I have actually been doing this
right, yeah,
in terms of like competing. So I get very confused on what these judges are looking for, and bigger scope, what these orgs are looking for. Because to me, like in my reference room, if I play any song, any music, it sounds really freaking good.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and it does the same thing that good cars do, which if it's a bad recording, it's going to show it's a bad recording. But I'm not here have four different presets for different genres of music, and I have
right,
bass knob here, and I have all these different changes that I see some competitors do. I don't do any of them. So for people to know, with my Mazda, it was always one tune, one seating position. That was it.
yeah,
It's just a volume knob. Not even the bass was changed. It was always the exact same. Um, but back to my topic, which is like, why are there so many different orgs? If from what you said is if they're all looking for kind of the same thing, but just the score sheet's different, why don't we do what they do in over the pond, where it's just one org? Over there, it's just Emma. What are we missing
yeah.
here in the States?
So I think each one of these different organizations exists because the competitors, in one degree or another, have asked for something that a organization at that time did not offer or focus on. So that's kind of how they all exist. I think Mecca, we started back in 2012 because really it was about the only thing that was available in our area. We didn't hardly have any IASCA contest, and Emma wasn't in the United States then.
Yeah,
Um, and USAC was real just regional in the middle of the country, like Oklahoma and Arkansas and Texas, stuff like that.
hmm
So really in our area, of course, Steve Stern lives in like Nashville, Goodlettsville area in Nashville. And so we had shows every month, you know. I mean, you could easily get the points you needed for finals. Even if you got like third at every contest, you would still get the points. It was pretty easy.
yeah,
So I mean, because there was just so many contests in our area is why we ended up gravitating toward that. Plus, I really liked the class structure.
yeah,
So the class structure didn't really have anything to do with anybody's past experience. It really only had to do with how the vehicle's built. And honestly, the other wargs have adopted similar stances in
hmm
certain ways. So ECA is modeled a little different as far as breaking points of upgrades, but real similar as far as how the classification system works.
yeah,
And so is MASQ. Like mask is the same way. It's about system complexity and not really your affiliation within the industry or experience.
yeah,
Whereas both Emma and IASCA have an experiential base on top of that, you
yeah,
know. So yeah, the vehicle build sort of matters, but you can do quite a lot of modifications even in like amateur class.
yeah.
And but really the only thing that differentiates those is how long you've been competing.
Well, that's
Wait,
also that. Sorry, I just need to touch on that real quick. It's confusing to me with like, I'm just gonna use Iasca for instance because I know it a little bit better. But
yeah,
it's for instance, me when I started Waveform, I automatically got bumped into Pro One, but
right,
I get zero benefits. Like it's not like I'm
yeah,
a dealer and I like, oh now I'll have like, a wealth of, you know, dealer sheets and all this other stuff. Like I don't get none of those perks. I just tune some people's cars.
right, yeah,
Um, but it's like some, if I wasn't me, like started Waveform, I would no Gray would have been an amateur car because according to the
sure,
organization, that's all it was. Even though I only been competing for like 4 months, I'm not all the way in Pro One. But then other
yeah,
people can have a fully built car by Mike Myers and tuned by Mike Myers, and it's all this great thing, amateur. And it's like, well, wait a minute, like my car is also the same way. So to me, it's
yeah.
kind of like, I get what they're trying to do, but it's not granular enough because if
Well,
I want,
there's no way to police it, honestly.
yeah, yeah,
So
it's hard.
so, and I completely agree with some aspects. That's why I don't really love the experiential based uh, gradation between classes
Yeah,
because honestly, it's just um, I'm I'm still competing against some other shop or whoever just on that person's budget. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's not really this guy built his vehicle and tuned his vehicle. I don't think there's hardly any amateur cars like that.
yeah,
Um, they had some shop build it or somebody with a lot of experience build it, and then either a shop or some other great tuner tune it. And so at that point, the only thing that was theirs was the dollars. I mean, and the car. I don't really understand that. So I don't think that's the best way to separate cars, but that's kind of the way they still do it. And so you just play by the rules until
yeah.
they change it.
Definitely confusing. Like I could build a car for Bree right now, and I can tune and all that, and she could be a novice. And it's like,
Yep.
but she has no clue what she's doing. But I'm entering it, but just under her name. And they're
Right.
like, that flies. And I'm like, but that, I don't know. At least my logical side of me is like, see,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had some discourse with other judges and people that are involved about maybe changing that, and they're like, well, that's just not fair. I mean, what if some new guy, you know, enters and then like you enter and then you enter and then that's unfair to them. I was like, that's what we're doing anyway.
That's
Like, what are
exactly
you
what's
talking
happening.
about?
Yeah.
You know,
I was
like
like,
I built that other vehicle that's in his class and I tuned it. I mean, what my name's not on the registration, but that's me, you know.
yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I don't I think there should be a little reform on that, but it's theirs to do with however they want. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's some merit to it because they keep doing it all these years, and they still get a lot of competitors. So
Yeah.
apparently, there's quite a few people that like it.
Well, I think it just gives some competitors the ability to have I don't say a much better car, but let's just use that terminology because waveform and hinge and whatever. I don't gotta be that politically correct. Um, they can win more plastic trophies if they go down to a lower class versus an organization that's just like, hey, if your car is built to this spec, you're going to be high up. They're like, maybe I won't do that work.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I don't think there's any easy classes. I don't care how you slice it.
yeah.
Even novice these days are really competitive in IASCA.
Mhm.
So I I don't think you can hide in a easy class, so to speak. But I do know what you're saying. You can kind of try to take advantage of some inexperience or something like that. But
Yeah. Because
that's
right now,
a
I feel
that's a
like, yeah.
poor way to do it.
No, yeah, you're right. And I feel like you're spot on. Like it's hard right now. Almost any class is hard. But
Yeah,
for someone who's just entering, novice should be a novice, and an
yeah.
amateur should be an amateur.
I
To allow them
I
to,
would like to see it that way. but
Yeah.
how do you do that?
I mean, just like you said, I feel like other orgs are doing it where it's just like it's how the car is built. And I feel like most amateurs or most novices are not going to start cutting holes in their car. At least
Yeah.
I know when I was a novice and an amateur, I was deathly afraid of cutting any holes in my vehicle.
Yeah.
And everything was in the
I
door.
still don't.
Yeah, yeah, you don't. I do. I love cutting holes. It's true. Um, but it's like I feel like we made it such a way where novice was novice and amateur was amateur, and there would be more separation. So two things will happen. People who want to enter this don't automatically get like sandbagged and like just defeated because they're like, well, how am I supposed to compete with a car that's fully built by Mike Myers and tuned by Mike Myers? Like,
Right.
what am I supposed to
Yeah.
do?
Well, they're gonna have to.
Pay
They're gonna
Mike
have
Myers?
to. Yeah. Well, they'll have to go to a shop like ours. You know what I mean, and have somebody similar to us. Help them out. Because I mean, you don't know what you don't know. If you've truly never competed before, you have no idea what you're in for.
Oh, zero clue. Yeah.
Even people that's been doing it for a while still don't know. um, but so that's people. People have asked me a lot of times if you have advice for someone that's wanting to learn how to tune or start competing or something like that. And I always tell them you're gonna have to learn what where the target is. You know what I mean? What the judges expect to hear. So just like in a shooting competition or whatever, if you had a blindfold on and someone just places a target out there, there's no possible way you could ever hit that target
Yeah.
unless you knew where it was. So that's how I feel about sound quality. So unless you know what the judges kind of expect to hear, or what a good scoring vehicle, sounds like,
Mhm.
what do these numbers on this page mean? Then there's no possible way you could ever achieve it.
So do you think, because I do, I mean, I'll tell you my opinion of it. I feel like right now with so many organs, so many different judges and biases, with no real clear reference on what these judges are like looking for, it's almost like one, you need to spend a crap ton of money because it's no longer cheap. The US is massive. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
miles and wear and tear on your car. And still every judge is going to be different because it
yeah.
is more subjective. So the target is always moving. So I mean,
I
I
wouldn't
did
say it's always moving.
okay.
It is similar, and the data's there. If you ask Clifton or Richard or any of the guys that's been doing a lot of the big money round shows in the past few years, you can look at the data from the 6 judges or however many judges they have, and most of the time it's very similar. It's real consistent, so I think a lot of them agree on what the best cars are, best sounding cars score. Um, it's just somewhere in the middle. Everybody kind of has like their focus on what they're listening for, which is kind of a shame, but at the same time, I get why it's like that, because everybody hears a little different,
Yeah.
and a lot of people's experience listening to music is vastly different. Like I've only been to an orchestra maybe twice in my life,
Mhm.
so I don't usually use orchestral music for judging, because I don't know what that's exactly supposed to sound like. Like I know it's supposed to be much bigger, and I've heard violins and stuff like that, but at the same time, like that much going on at the same time is difficult for me to pick out. Like I tend to focus more on like imaging focus, like a real correct tonal balance and things like that,
Yeah.
and a little less on atmospheric qualities, like room size and things like that.
So I'm gonna mention this, and I want to know your opinion of it because I feel like a lot of times it's floating around on Dima or Strictly Sound Quality or these other different groups on Facebook or whatnot that they keep saying like, oh, you need to go, listen to live music and live instruments and orchestras and cathedrals and blah blah blah. But I feel like that's not accurate. I feel like because people mention, we're tuning to it to sound like real life. And it's like, well, no, we're tuning and our cars are meant to replicate what the input signal was.
Yeah.
Because the mixer can make, let's use a trumpet, for instance, it
Yeah.
can make a trumpet be very forward and seem very small. They can add reverb and all of a sudden make it seem massive. Like in the speak, like they have so many tools in their disposal. And probably Brian Gill, I should probably have him on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's like they have so many tools to their disposal that you can't say, well, I know what a trumpet sounds like, or like me, like I used to play a saxophone. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I know what a bari sax sounds like. So if not every song sounds like a bari sax, your car is wrong. It's like, well, no, do you know
Well,
that song?
and not only that, your experience is listening from the player's perspective. That's not how they recorded it. You know what I mean? That's not how the listeners and the audience listen to it.
Yeah.
And so there's too many variables. I understand what people are saying by, saying going to live, unamplified type performances will give you a better ear for what I think tonal balance is for instruments and stuff like that. But it's not entirely accurate. I mean, first off, that's not really how they record stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And secondly, who knows what the mastering engineer did to it after the fact,
Exactly.
So a lot of a lot of the track notes and stuff that we have kind of gathered for ECA, for instance, people like Fred Lynch and Richard and these people have sometimes in contact the recording engineer to kind of get an idea, what the placements are for said track, or to try to get a better idea of what it should sound like.
Yeah.
But even then, tonally speaking, that could be a little bit different.
Yeah. No, 100%. So do you think we can ever consolidate to have one or two orgs? Because I'll speak for myself.
Sure.
When I went
I
to
mean,
finals last year, I spent well over $2,000.
oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
after all the orgs, the 3X events, the hotels, the drive, and it's like, this is getting really expensive. And
Yeah.
I took some trophies home. Where they're at now, hate to say it, they're in the garbage. That's where they went after trash.
I still have every trophy I ever got.
I took a picture. That's as much as
It was silly because when I was a kid, I never really entered any kind of sports or anything, so I never got a trophy until I was an adult.
really.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're like, I'm keeping all of them now.
Yep. So everyone I ever got, I still have.
I love it.
They're over there in the garage.
So you said it's possible. Like, what do you as a head judge? How can we move?
Sure, it's possible. The problem is that a lot of people who are in charge of things are going to have to agree. What is the way? You know what I mean? So what do we all agree on would be the right balance on a score sheet, the right music to evaluate these cars with, and then class structure.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's some widely varying, personalities that are involved at the top of this, for each org, and they would all have to agree in such a way, and some would have to relinquish some control and stuff like that. So, I mean, theoretically, yeah, it's possible, but no, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
Like actually, because I don't think some of these people would ever give up what control or work together or anything like that. I would hope that we could, because that would be great. But right now, there's a lot of, because there's so many orgs, there's obviously some disagreement on what the right sound is and how you should classify a car and what's important on a score sheet. So right now it's a little too much. But I think that each organization that exists now that's been added. So let's say after 2018, I think 2018 is about when Emma came over.
Yeah.
None of them are here because the person that brought it to fruition would just thought it'd be a good idea. All of them exist because the competitors were asking for
Hmm. And now we're here.
it. And here we are.
And now we're here. I mean, another thing I've heard constantly, it's like, well, we're running out of judges. We're running out of judges. I'm like, of course we are. We have 5 to 6 different orgs. I don't know exactly how many now, with money around on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we're stretching everybody thin, but if we consolidate everything to one, how many judges will we have now? A lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the money round type shows, I know Clifton has expressed that he's just going to drop all of the orgs. It's just going to be straight money round, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, best sounding car is best sounding car, and then you know, but the people that want to go to a finals, they're upset because they don't get points towards finals if they go to this event.
Yeah.
So it's tough as an event promoter or event organizer to gauge what the interest would be for the competitors. What's important to competitors, and what's important in one area is not very important in another.
Yeah.
So Texas and like SVR, they really love that money round type format.
Mhm.
But California, they don't seem to be super enamored with the idea because they don't really have any over there, and they haven't really been asking for it.
Yeah.
There's a couple of the guys that come from over there to some of those shows, like Mark and Brian and a lot of the art guys and stuff. But they're kind of the exception rather than a norm. And there's a lot of expense that goes into it. I think competitors don't really understand how much money goes into trying to make an event like SVR or something like that.
Of course. Yeah.
Because I mean, you've got the event hall that you got to rent. You got to pay all of these judges to be there. You've got to, in a lot of cases, pay for travel. You have to pay for their hotel room. On top of that, each organization has a fee that they charge you to for sanctioning to have their organization at your event.
Hmm.
So there's hundreds, if not thousands, tied up in just organizational fees.
Wow.
That people don't know.
Yeah. And I know there's always two sides to a story, but I know overseas and the way from I mean, I wouldn't know. I was either not even born yet or not old enough to comprehend what was going on in the
Yeah.
90s and early 2000s. But I heard that, a lot of it was, sponsorships from these bigger companies. Like, I'm just throwing some out that right now that I know Morel, Focal, um, that could help one bring in more people, spectators, but also sponsor some shows and whatnot that would kind of help alleviate some of that pain. But right now, when you go to these events, how many people that you haven't already seen from other orgs or other events, excuse me, do you see? There's not that many spectators.
It's not. It's kind of rare, actually.
Yeah.
It still happens, but it's usually at the bigger events.
Hmm.
Like we've done a few more local type events here, and even though we advertise it locally, to a smaller degree, um, we don't really have any spectators that come.
Yeah.
Because the people that are interested in this are already involved.
Yeah.
I think we could probably garner a few more, with the cooperation. Like I ask us, I think trying pretty hard and doing a decent job with partnering with the home audio type
Hmm.
community and trying to get some interest and crossover there. I haven't seen the metrics, so I don't know if it's actually working or not.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to Travis and the guys that do that to see how much it's working or not and what we can do to improve it, because just like them, I would love for this to grow.
Yeah.
No matter what the future looks like, whether I'm affiliated with this organization or that organization, or not judging at all and just competing again or whatever, I still want sound quality to be here and to grow for the next people that are interested, the next generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. But, the unfortunate truth is, and this is, well, the unfortunate Miguel's truth, is that because of the way things are structured, it makes it for new competitors to not want to compete. When you have cars that are no longer novice and amateur because of the class and structure now in novice and amateur, when a true novice and amateur comes in, they're like, well, what's the point? I'm just going to give away money. I'm never going to really win.
So you have two kinds of people. You know what I mean? You have people that quit when things get hard, and
Yeah.
there you have people that are determined to do better.
Yeah.
Austin McCarter's one of those. The first time I listened to his vehicle, he brought his vehicle to a show that we had at the shop, and he was a more SPL oriented guy at that time. He
Mhm.
almost all of his equipment was an SPL type brand.
Yeah.
And he did some things pretty well and some things that really need some work. And, we gave him a lot of feedback, and not all of it was good. There was a lot of things that he needed to work on. And he could have easily just been like, well, that's stupid. They don't know what they're talking about, or
Yeah.
it's just subjective or something like that. But that's not what he did.
Yeah.
He went back and he rebuilt and made it better. And he continues to do so. And he's a great competitor for it.
He is. He is. No, 100%. I mean, Austin's my boy. Shout out to Austin. But like, I'm kind of meaning more like the DEMA crowd. They got some DEMA events that Jason puts on, a couple other people put on. And
Yeah.
those events gather a pretty good crowd. I'm talking about
Oh, I love
30,
those events.
yeah,
I've
30,
been to
40
several.
plus people. Sometimes more, sometimes less. And it's like, and I've asked them, I say, hey, why don't you compete? They're like, oh, like, what's the point? And they're just like, and that's the constant revolving answer I
Yeah.
get is what's the point? And I feel like, well, how could we gather those people that still exist that are on the DIY crowd to move them towards this? Because I'm one of the younger ones doing this, and I'm
Yeah.
30. I don't consider myself young anymore. I have back problems. So it's like, how do we get the true young people, the 19, the 20-year-olds, to get in this so there is successors to us?
I think we're gonna have to do a better job of making the shows more fun. You
Yeah.
know, uh, I think I think the people that want, to win something, they're already coming, and then the rest of the people, um, a lot of people I've spoken to end up going because it's they get to talk to their peers and other car audio junkies like myself
Yeah.
that that you don't get to see that often. And because most people, I can't talk to normal people about this. They think I'm a moron, and I probably am. But at the same time, um, it's a cool way to get together with people that are like minded and are passionate about the same thing. But the DIY mobile audio community, they found a way to do that, but without having to declare winners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really cool um, community that they've built. I've been to several of the get-togethers. I've been to Jason's house a couple times.
Yeah.
He used to do it at a park over there. I've been to one of the ones at the park.
Hmm.
The one they do in Virginia, like in the kind of winter time.
Yeah, the one that you and I went to, and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
Man, like an idiot, and I was frozen. Yeah, that one.
Uh, I've been I go to that one every year because it's kind of at a time when nothing else is happening for me at the shop.
Mhm.
So I get to go to that one about every time. I've been to Big Al does one in November
Yeah.
for his birthday. I usually try to make it out to that one.
Cook
And
as well, correct?
what's that?
Cook used to do them. Steve Cook.
Yeah, unfortunately I haven't got to get over to one of his. Um, every time he's done one, it's kind of been when I have something else happening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a crazy scheduling thing. The more I judge, the more scheduling conflicts happen and stuff like that. But I love those type of events. And yeah, I wish some of those guys would probably get involved with competition, but I think they're pretty happy doing it the way they do it. And I think us as event promoters have a lot to learn from those guys because they found a way to get together and enjoy this thing without having to declare winners and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
And everyone really is
uh,
having fun. If people haven't gone to those shows, make it a point to.
Check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll definitely see. I don't want to say another side of car audio, but like just like Mike said, like there is no competition. Everyone's just hanging out,
Yeah.
and like everyone's car is open. Everyone's jamming out, having
Yeah.
fun. Everyone's kind of like a potluck where everyone just brings whatever snack they bring or
Yeah.
whatever. And if the car isn't pretty, doesn't matter. We don't care. Like it's just to have.
Well, they're all sharing like, tuning secrets and building stuff. I've gotten a few jobs out of going to those.
Yeah,
Those dummy guys. Sometimes they get another vehicle and they don't want to build it. They want great sound. They know what great sound sounds like,
yeah,
but they don't feel like building this one because it took a long time on the last one, or maybe they wanted just done um, at a higher degree of fit and finish and stuff like that.
hmm
So there's all kinds of reasons why they would want someone else to finally to do one for them. And I've gotten, I don't know, at least 3 jobs this year out of that
nice.
community.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely great. Like I said, whoever hasn't gone, please go. I'm thinking about here in my new neighborhood. I have a community center which can hold up to like I think like 30 or 40 cars.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about. I'm not sure if I'm going to wait till I get my Tesla back, which is going to be sometime next year, um, or if I
Don't
want.
even lie. You're never getting it back.
I'm never getting it back. But don't.
I'm just kidding. Russ will get it done.
Plus,
He'll do an awesome job.
yeah, whenever it's done, it'll get
Yeah.
done. But
Hey,
like,
I know the feeling.
yeah,
Sometimes other things take priority.
no, 100%. And plus, I dropped my car off early because the whole moving situation. So I knew it wasn't going to get touched for a while. I
Yeah.
was like, do I want to put 1,000+ miles, then 1,000 miles back, then 1,000 miles another one? I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
there, it's fine. But I think I want to do one here in the Texas, just because I feel like there's a lot of people and kind of just forget about competition. It's like, hey, let's just hang out.
They're a
Um,
lot of fun. Do it, man.
and let's just do it. So I got to figure out the HOA rules and all that. But I think I can,
Right.
you know. So I kind of want to move the conversation. Do you still have a little bit of time?
Yeah.
So you have won in the tuning competition, number one tuner, right? From the org that was there back SVR last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to ask you a couple things. One, what measurement device do you use and why do you use it? Two, I want to ask, do you have any tips or tricks? And you and I can kind of just bounce ideas back and forth, and
Right.
whomever is listening can kind of, gather whatever information they want to from this.
Yeah.
I know you and I have both gone to different training, well, one training together, and you and I have gone to,
Yeah.
I've,
That jail max training.
yep, I don't use GL Max anymore. I'm not sure if, I know you were using it for timing and then other
Yeah.
things.
I still use it. I was using it today actually.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic tool
Yeah.
for a lot of things. I have not yet been able to correlate, and this is probably my own fault, been able to correlate exactly the measurement data from RTA to exactly the way I hear it or the way I measure it with other devices.
Yeah.
Like they don't line up to
Yeah.
where, but I'm sure it's something I'm doing wrong. Either I'm not in, typically. So to answer your first question, what measurement device do I use? I use single moving mic for RTA work.
The moving mic.
With yep,
Gotcha.
yep, single mic moving mic average.
Yeah.
I've got Room EQ Wizard, set to like forever averages, and then I'll be in the car in the driver's seat measuring it from there.
Okay.
It typically, for me, the data that it captures is closer related to how I hear it.
Yeah.
So whenever and hopefully I will learn how to use the Max better for RTA work, and I've gotten it closer. I have made a concerted effort to make it closer. So
Yeah.
I got Mark Eldridge's microphone holder thing,
Nice.
so it holds it more like in like a Geddes array
Fine.
rather than just like a line straight across.
That probably helped a good amount.
It did. So it's closer, but every time still, I end up getting more of a like a hump in around like the 300, 500 hertz range or something like that.
Mhm.
When I tune it to like the same type of target that I would use for other measurement devices.
Yeah.
So I need to build my target different for JL Max. And I've played with it a little bit, but I've not been able to hit it just right yet. So honestly, I probably need some tips from someone that's more experienced with the Max with
Yeah.
great results, like Jeff or Matt or somebody like that,
Yeah.
and to try to get their input on how I could do it better. But right now, I use the Max a lot for electrical measurements.
Mhm.
Was the vehicle given to us from the factory side?
Yeah.
And I use it for time-based measurements and phase information and stuff like that, because it's a really great tool for that, and it's really fast
Yeah.
for that stuff. So I still love it. I use it all the time, but not really for RTA yet all
Gotcha.
the time. And
Yeah.
it's not for competition use. I think for most people it'd be pretty fine, but I'd have to go back and just kind of mellow out that lower mid
Um,
range area.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had similar experiences when I had it. And I know you and I had conversations offline about it, when I still had my Max.
Yeah.
It was
I
like,
was
hey,
just trying to figure out how to do it better.
yeah. And you and I are both kind of doing some like, man, every time I put it in and then the RTA matches and all this, and I hear it, I'm like, this don't sound right. And I'll take the moving mic method, do a quick little sweep, and it'll show the things that I'm hearing. And I'm just,
Yeah.
and that,
A lot a lot of it's right. I mean, for me, the part that I constantly end up having trouble with is the lower mid range. It
yeah,
always sounds like they're talking like this.
yep, yep. And I had a lot of those issues. For me, it was also in the upper mid range.
Mm,
No matter what, it was either way too hot or not enough.
yeah.
And I would change my attitude. If I pop up my other computer, I probably did. I'm not even exaggerating. If not close to 1,000, in the thousand of
Dang.
measurements and different positions with the mics and all this thing.
Yeah.
And I remember right after I got it, and I was like, I'm not sure who I hit up. I can look it up, but I was like, I think a lot of the issues that are happening here is because of the mount that comes with it. And I was like, if we just move it to a more 3D space where it's more the
Yeah.
other Getty's away, I'm like, I feel like you'll get much better results.
It's helped with ours for sure. And I think the other part is maybe because I'm used to hearing it and measuring it, with someone like in the seat.
Yeah,
And so maybe I needed some more mass around the mic stand or something to make it measured kind of the same. Honestly, the real answer is probably going to be building the target to where it correlates with how I measure the other way.
yeah.
But I just don't have enough data yet to be able to say, because I've done it a couple times and it's gotten closer, but it's still not the same. And I'm struggling trying to get it the same.
Yeah, and to me, the other thing I was having trouble with it was like consistency. For I think two reasons. One, there's so much like, which is a good thing and a bad thing, but like movements you could do with the microphone, they were never in the exact same spot every single time for
Hmm.
me because I had to pack it all, take it apart, pack it all
Yeah,
up, take
yeah,
it out, put it all back together, and I'm just like, it should go almost here, and I put it almost there, but then I wouldn't get wild differences, but they will definitely be different from car to car to car.
yeah,
Or even my own Mazda when I had it. I'll tune it, I'll make it flat. And I'm pretty sure I have the measurement somewhere where I'm like, all right, this is perfect. Like it matches the target curve,
yeah,
lines. I took it out, set in it. Nope, doesn't sound right. Put it back in, measure differently. I'm like, what? I was like, what am I doing wrong?
yeah.
And like I said, I
That's true.
tried every different way. And finally, I just went back to the moving mic method, and that was at SVR. When I
Yeah.
went back to the moving mic method, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, things are correlating. And then I got with Natan, and he's like, hey, I got this one that's like super light. It's easy for you to travel with. Give it a shot. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time I put it in there. It was super easy, super light. Did a thing. I tuned it. I hopped in. I was like, holy crap. I was
His
like,
kit's really good.
this is awesome. And I've been using it ever since. Every once in a while, I'll still pull out my moving mic method.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just use Array and it just works.
Yeah, I still use moving mic, and I know Nick's gonna hate this, but I still use like the U mic one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on my second one, because I tore up the first one. But I mean, it measures pretty consistently. Like I've got data from years ago, and I can go back and measure my car now, and it measures pretty close the same. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty good for me.
Oh,
Because I mean, the finishing touches are going to be by ear anyway, so we
always
just got to get it like
close.
pretty damn close.
Yeah.
So I mean, you mentioned the SVR tuner challenge thing,
Yeah.
and that was a lot of fun. The we had, I don't think people realized that we had a little bit of an advantage. I mean, Chris did, because we tuned together all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm used to having Chris's help all of the time, every
Yeah.
tune. So it's not like I'm using someone who I haven't tuned with before, or maybe once or twice. I
Mhm.
mean, we're talking hundreds,
Yeah.
maybe 1,000, I don't know, of tunes that me and Chris have done together. So because Clifton had designed the contest to where you couldn't auto import anything
Yeah.
for corrections, that really played to our advantage, because that's kind of how we were already doing it. So, Chris was in the passenger seat with the control computer for the DSP. I was in the driver's seat with measurement software and a microphone. So the predictions that Room EQ Wizard gives us for EQing to target,
Mm-hmm.
I can just call out the frequency,
And the cue.
the cue, and the cut, and Chris can type them as fast as I can call them. And so we're able to get through the speaker corrections real fast,
Yeah.
faster than I think a lot of people did. And so that gives us more time for the listening and making corrections based on music, which is, I think, what was able to give us the win,
Yeah.
honestly.
You're being humble. The car, I heard it. It sounded great. It sounded phenomenal. And the second I heard it, I was like, "That's Mike Myers."
Yeah.
And the Clifton was like, "Yep." I was like, "Yeah, I figured."
Yeah.
And it was definitely interesting because like you did it kind of similar to me. I didn't want to do it that way. It just happened to, which I did the
Yeah.
JL Max in there. I did the JL Max thing, and Max the Target hopped in. I'm like, here we go again. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. So we used the max first
Yeah.
to set the delays fast. So through that max training that Matt and Steve and that they did over there in Arizona, it's a fantastic training. So anybody that has JL Max and you haven't been, go. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's the best training I've ever been to.
Yeah.
But through that training and then practicing afterwards for the test, I got way faster with doing setting the timing for speakers with the max than I am with even a tape measure.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was really possible until I watched Matt do it a few times.
Yeah.
And so after I practiced, yeah, I mean, you can just do it faster than you can with the tape measure.
Yeah.
So we did it, number one, to save time, two, for accuracy, because a lot of the speakers in the car that we were working on were all in stock locations. So it's kind of hard to get an accurate tape measure reading from the cone of the speaker to the, like the ear position.
Yeah.
So doing it with the max was absolutely faster. Plus, it gave me a little bit of phase information before I mean, I know it changes after EQ, but at least I'll know that something's not 180 degrees out of phase or 90 degrees out of phase. It's close. You know what I mean? And close is all I need when we're on 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we did the max thing real fast, and Natan was heckling us, we were sitting there playing it, and Nate walks over. He's like, "Your pink noise sounds messed up." And I was like, "No, it's periodic pink noise." He's like, "It sounds messed up." I was like, "Go away, Nate. I got work to do."
Nate's always messing with people.
And so we did that part real fast, and then that's when we got in, just played pink noise from the source. You know what I mean? So on flash drive, just plug it in the car.
Yeah.
So any EQ that the head unit's doing, we kind of take that into account.
Yeah.
I use the same kind of target on every vehicle. So the same Sound Team 6 target curve that I use for tuning.
Yeah.
We used Room EQ Wizard, and then click on speaker driver. That way you can set the filter type,
Yep.
and it'll predict, what the curve should look like, for that speaker that you're using. And then match target to response, and it gives you a bunch of stuff that you can type into your DSP. I call those out. Chris types them in. And then at the end of that, we turn it all on, and hopefully it sounds good. If it doesn't, oh my gosh, we would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
But we turned it on. We we're like, okay, that's pretty good, but it doesn't sound right between like the mid range to mid bass.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I need to put the max back in and see, what the phase looks like between those, because I bet it's off a bit.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, I don't think we have time. He's like, just try an 18 slope instead of the 24 we had on it. And when we did that, it was like, boom, I was like, okay, it sounds in phase now. Move, we move on to the next part.
Mike, give me one quick second. I'm gonna pause this. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. So yes, he was just playing with the dogs, and I'm just like the dogs are barking. I'm like, our dogs never bark, and I'm like, did someone come in this house? Like, what am I missing?
We're having a burglary.
Yeah, I'm like, do I need to get my guns?
So yeah, we just tried an 18 dB slope between the mid bass to mid range.
Yeah,
because this worked. That's what I have in my own vehicle, and it seemed to some better. And so we tried that. It definitely worked. It worked well enough to where we didn't really need to remeasure phase again. I was like, that sounds correct. Move to the next part.
Yeah.
And so then we just play judging tracks, that we know really well, because both Chris and I are, finals judges for different organizations.
Yep.
And so we play stuff that we know. I swap seats so Chris can listen, because by then my ears are tired of hearing pink noise. And he listens. He's like, well, it needs a little more of this. I'm like, okay. And then, maybe try a little less at, 3.1. So we tap that down a little bit. And he's like, sounds pretty good. It's like, it might be a touch left. So we just balance it over a little bit. And then he's like, that's good. So I sat back in it, and we listened to other judging tracks. And then I was really kind of worried, because Clifton wanted to save all of the tunes to the same loudness level.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how he wanted me to save it. So I left about 10 to 15 minutes on the clock, and then just stopped and went and got Cliff.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're pretty much done. I left some time on the clock because I didn't know how you want me to save this. And he's like, well, you can keep working. He's like, we'll just save it after. I was like, well, I mean, the next thing that we would do was probably going to take more than 10 or 15 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to mess it up any more than I've got it right now, and we'll just save it. And we were the first one to tune the vehicle. So we drove from our shop to the show. It's about a 7.5 hour drive. Got out of my vehicle, found where the tuning challenge was happening, drove my car inside, offloaded the equipment, and started tuning.
Wow. And you crushed it. And like I said, dude, it sounded really good. I definitely noticed yours, and then like all the others. And I'm just like, yeah, that's definitely Mike Myers and Chris. Like that's not even a question.
So we do have kind of a signature sound, and that's that Sound Team 6, target, and to not disclose an insane amount. I think that it rises. So like everybody has a variation of like the Harman target curve, what I mean?
Yeah.
And so ours isn't so like jumpy as it moves up. It's more smooth as it takes off. But I think it also starts a little higher in the lower mid range than a lot of people. So a lot of people's I've seen starts that lift, around 160 hertz or something like that.
Yeah.
Ours, even though a lot more shallow in the beginning, it's more like a convex, or concave, like a quarter pipe kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Starting higher, around like 400 hertz,
Gotcha.
and then just smoothly, up and up
Gradually
and up.
rise.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mine's about 280-ish, 300-ish.
yeah,
And it does the same thing. It's a smoother kind of
yeah, yeah.
gradual up.
Because you don't want it to sound too thick in the lower mid range, but
Right.
at the same time, I think like a dB there
Mhm.
adds a fullness that I think is missing from some vehicles.
Agreed.
Um,
I use Breaking Silence. Forgot the singer's name. Everyone knows Breaking Silence. And
yeah.
her voice, a lot of cars, she just sounds like a man. And I'm just like, let's just bring 250, 200 down a little bit.
Yeah,
And the second you start lowering that down, you start noticing you have more attack in the bass. Because a lot of
right.
people
Yeah,
want to continue making it really thick, like, oh, I need more, I need more, I need more. It's like, no, you need a lot of times you hit. When I had gray, people always ask me, like, dude, how do you have your bass like so impactful? And I was like, honestly, a lot of cuts. Because the second anything starts getting really boomy, it takes away from that
yeah,
dryness and that snap. And the other thing is, I'm like, I don't scoop out 2 to 4K. That's the upper
right.
mid
I,
range.
I don't either. Yeah,
That's where the attack is. That's actually what's solidifying in our brain what is snap, what is attack. And a lot of
yeah,
people, I've seen some curves, just some cars, it's like scoop it out, scoop it. I'm like, well,
yeah.
there goes all your, your detail and attack.
I think some people are super sensitive in that range, and
Yeah.
and there's definitely some science to it because, it's called the BBC notch, because in a lot of the manufacturers, that make British speakers have that kind of a sound, and it gives you kind of a mellow sound
Yeah.
with not a lot of sharpness, but
Yep.
at the same time, I think it's too mellow, and
Agreed.
so I don't typically like that. I wanted to kind of play flat through there.
Yeah.
Um, if it's going to be down a little bit, maybe like a half a dB or a dB at most. I don't like a big cut there.
Yeah, me either. Do you notice any trends? So like for me, when I don't have a front sub, I feel like a lot of times I need to artificially add a little bit more of 32 hertz and a little bit of 60 hertz to the front to kind of get that weight up front more
Mm,
than I will do if there is a front sub. Then I feel like that transfer energy already happens with the front sub and already helps do
yeah, it gets kind of too boomy if you do that with a
yeah.
front sub. Yeah.
So I didn't know if you noticed any of those things consistently or whatnot.
Well, a lot of times, vehicles with rear mounted sub and just like a stereo mid bass
Mhm.
setup instead of a front sub,
Yeah.
um, they'll have kind of a weird notch around 60-ish, 60 to 70 hertz, depending on the length of the vehicle.
Yep.
And my car exhibits the same problems. It's not magic. You just have to make sure. So in my own vehicle, I basically have to cross over the rear sub there. You know what I mean? Like, or before that. So
Yeah.
like, I think it's at like 55 hertz or where I've got the filter set at.
Mhm.
And then the front mid bass is set about the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, it's actually gapped a touch. I think my front mid bass are like 60 or something like that.
Gotcha.
Because I like to play it loud, pretty hard,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to bottom out. So
Mhm.
uh, some people like to play their front mid bass a little too low, and for judges or any listener that likes to play it loud, that will definitely make your mid basses make a bad sound.
Yes. And be muddy and a lot of distortion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the closer you play it to like resonant frequency of the driver, the higher and higher that distortion level is.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize even what distortion sounds like. But
Right.
yourself and myself, like we hear that. That's not even a question. Especially when you start turning it up. Sure, 75 dB, you don't really notice it. You can have fun. But when you're really trying to jam out, I mean, it's just so apparent. And to me, if you have a 6.5, I'm not crossing any lower than like 75 hertz.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I go any lower than that, I'm
Yeah.
dramatically cutting the output capabilities of that vehicle.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I think for vehicles that have like 6.5s or smaller as like your mid base, I think those vehicles are great candidates for front sub.
yeah,
If you're trying to get a lot of impactful up front bass,
Mhm.
For normal listeners, that aren't like super audiophiles, or trying to win a contest, they don't really care if the bass comes from the back. So
Yeah,
just cross it over to 80 and let
call
it
it a day.
rip. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people that want that real illusion that this band's playing in front of you,
Mhm.
yeah, you probably want a front sub to help with that. If you've got room for 6x9s or 8s or larger mid basses, I think a lot of times if you do a good job on the sound deadening and mounting, that you probably will not need a front sub
I would
in
agree with
most cases.
that. Yeah.
And it can cause more complexity. I wouldn't say that it's definitely not better, but it adds more complexity. So it takes longer for it to be better, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, as long as you get the phase correct, between now the rear sub and the mid bass, you can even do some cool tricks where like you can decorrelate the rear sub, and let that kind of add a little bit more ambience because you have, you know, 35, 40 hertz and above, which is the majority of music's bass,
Yeah.
solidified up front because of that front sub. So you can kind of do a couple more tricks, which I did do a little bit with Gray. I didn't really do too much, but I'm going to do a lot of it with the Tesla. Um, but I hear a lot, from, I'm not going to mention names, doesn't matter, but just people who don't like front subs. And I agree, a lot of front subs probably don't sound the best because they're not phase aligned and time aligned properly. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like when you do it right, it's just a transfer of energy, and you can't
Mhm.
really beat physics. I mean, you're taking the energy from the back and just moving it forward.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I've heard some great sounding front subs, and I've heard some poor sounding ones. So I mean,
yeah,
this I wouldn't say that any one way is the way,
yeah,
uh, because if there was one best way, I think everybody would just build it like that. But that's
yeah,
not really the way it works.
no,
I've
hundred
heard
percent,
great sounding wideband cars. I've heard terrible sounding ones. So I
dude.
mean,
Subaru is insane, especially
yeah,
beforehand. Like now as well with the Arc Audio, but when you had the audible physics in there, and you're
yeah.
like, yeah, dude, this is just 6x9's karmas and that in the 115. I'm like, this blows my mind. And it was like, it was such
Oh,
started.
oh, you heard it in Virginia when I blew up on the tweeter, so I just
Yeah,
turned the other tweeter and made a wideband
yeah. Just like,
tune real fast on my way up there.
yeah, it was so
Yeah.
good. I'm
I was
like,
like, I don't think that tweeter's playing, so I just pulled over at the gas station, got some snacks, and retuned the top end because I didn't have tweeters.
you're like, screw it. Nah, dude.
Oh,
I mean, so back to, I mean, I don't think we answered it. Do you notice any type of like consistency, like adding a little bit more 32 or a little more 60 or anything like that you've consistently seen? Or
not
just,
really.
no?
Not for me. That's like consistently works in every scenario. I think you're right. Lowering 250 more than 200, 250 more than even where the target line is probably beneficial in most cases because it kind of dries up that muddiness in the lower mid range and top of the mid bass.
Yeah.
Um, and especially speakers that are mounted in too small of an enclosure, they exhibit like a huge peak there.
Yeah.
Like when people make a like mid bass enclosures on their doors or kick panels without enough
Air.
enclosure volume or vent area, if they're bending it outside or something like that, it'll have a gigantic. I mean, I've measured some vehicles that had more than a 12 dB peak at 250 hertz.
And unfortunately, no matter how much EQ that, it's still resonating. It's still in there. Um,
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to sound it as natural as possible, but I mean, the real course of action, the best course of action is to change the installation. But usually when I've got tuning jobs, that's not really a course of action.
yeah.
I'm just trying to make the best out of what this person brought me.
Yeah.
And so uh, sometimes like that one that you sent us from Virginia,
Oh yeah, yeah.
sometimes they just need some installation changes.
Yep. Yep. That was an interesting one for sure.
Yeah.
I went there after another tuner tried in and he hired me up there. So, I went up there and I did it and I was looking at the phase even before I did it. I'm like, something isn't making sense here. I was like,
Was
what?
it in the mid bass?
Yeah. And I'm like, this
Yeah.
is correlating. I was like, but it's
Yeah.
fine. Because I asked him, I was like, hey, everything's working fine. And, I open the door. And when you just open the door, you don't really notice it. So, I open the door, I'm like, that's pink noise. I'm like, all right. Sat back in,
Yeah.
did my thing. But the entire time, like I'm doing it, it's always that left mid bass just like catching my attention. I'm like, something isn't right. So
Yeah.
finally, I'm just like, screw it. Like I took it out and I'm like, I don't even know where I was at. I don't think I was even 100% done. I'm just like, I need to listen to this thing because something isn't right. And instantly, that left mid bass made no sense. Like there was just nothing out of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is going to be a problem. It was the first customer I've ever done. I'm like, can we just take this door panel off? I need to know what's going on. Is it broken? Like what is
Oh man.
happening?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, long story short was we have the SW9, the Morel Supremo 8-inch, 9-inch, whatever you want to call it, that they cut the door panel and mounted it on the door panel itself.
Yeah.
But the back wave, it wasn't inside the door cavity because it had a full plastic piece, like most modern cars do. It's the BMW X3 competition. So I was like, there were so many things wrong. So long story short, I told him, I was like, hey, dude. And unfortunate for him, like he has spent a lot of money and it was never going to sound the way he wanted it. And he was like very defeated. And I was like, listen, I understand that you're not happy right now with the condition of your vehicle and the sound. I'm like, but if you just give me one more chance, I know someone. And I'm like, that person will take care of you. I'm like, I know you haven't had the best experience before, but I'm like, this is my friend. And I was like, I will personally make the phone call and get things coordinated so your vehicle can be correct. And I did that. Like I didn't even get through security and I was already calling Mike. I'm like, Mike, I need you, dude. Like we have this customer, we're about to lose him from the audio community. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And not even 2 months later, BMW's done. He sent me, dude, I don't know how many emails already. Like, I can't thank you enough. Like, Mike's the man. Good. Like, he's like, I am so happy. I was like,
he sent us a gift after that. Like a
really,
a box showed up. I was like, whoa, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he was so happy.
Yeah, he was pretty stoked. That was one of the biggest. We don't do a lot of fixing, what other shops do, kind of a thing. But that one was, he brought it to us and we listened to it and it was kind of rough, especially in like the mid range and stuff's fine. It was just a little low, rainbows a little bit, stuff like that. But I mean, the mid bass was bad, like bad. Yeah. And I was like, God. And then you look at it and you're like, yeah, I mean, it's the back wave is leaking out all around the door panel. It doesn't vent into the door.
Yeah.
It's just trapped between the door panel and like the block off plate, for the door cavity. And then he also has a 3-inch mid mounted in there. So you got a 3-inch passive radiator on a 9-inch mid bass. It was just bad.
Dude, it was something.
So we rebuilt most of that one. We left the amps and everything exactly as is, and then rewired it. He wanted us to run all new wires, so we rewired it, did A-pillars, and fixed the mid bass. Yeah. And it sounded a lot better.
Okay. So Bob, enjoy your X3, dude.
It sounds a lot better. It sounds good.
I remember I was like, dude, I didn't even finish it. I just like once I heard it, I'm like, I can't do anything with this. Like, there's nothing to do. I'm like, I can tune for the next 15 years. It's not gonna.
You can't tune fix that one. Unfortunately, no. It was just and the place that did the install did a great looking install. Like those door panels look awesome.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they just don't understand how to make mid bass.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm glad it all worked out, dude. Yeah. What other question I got for you? Let me think. Any other cool tuning tips that you can give anybody? I'm gonna give all my secrets on like the Million Podcast. I don't have any more secrets.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have secrets. I just tune.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of secrets. Like I do it. I feel like I do the same thing as everybody else, and I thought the tuner challenge was going to be way closer. You know what I mean? Like all the vehicles would just sound like every tune would sound like nearly the same, and the judges would have a really tough time picking them apart.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm not doing anything different. Like I measure it because people ask me and they're like, "Wait, show me what you're doing." And so I show them. They're like, "That's how I do it." I'm like, "Well, why does yours not sound like this?"
Yeah.
So they're not doing everything exactly the same, I guess. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I use Room EQ Wizard. It's free. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I use the JL Max. It's not free, but it's still awesome for most things.
Yeah.
I use a cheap mic. I am gonna buy one of those Earthworks mics.
Yeah.
I am gonna get. Nick said that whenever he gets that stuff live on his site, I'm gonna pick one up from him.
Nice. Yeah, they're good.
Um,
I just got mine. Like a
Yeah.
customer gave it to me as a tip. Here, dude.
Wow.
I don't need it. You did an amazing job. I was like, you sure? He was like, yeah. I was like, dude, I'll pay you.
Oh,
No, just
that's awesome.
I was like, okay. And it was literally brand new. And
Yeah.
I used it and I was like, the measurement didn't do anything different than my UMic 1 or UMic 2.
Right.
It's just like, one, it's so robust. Like you can tell, like you can kind of do anything.
Yeah. The U mics you gotta kind of be careful with.
Yeah.
But I understand that. And
Yeah.
so I'm very careful with it.
Yeah.
And that's why I've had pretty good luck with it. I store it in my backpack. It's always inside, you know. I don't really leave it in the car. So I mean, I take care of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cheap mic though. I mean, if the damn thing dies, it's what, $89? I mean, whatever. Get another one.
Yeah.
But I also, that's how I teach people, because I want it to be affordable for other people to learn how to tune, you know. So like if it's a do-it-yourselfer or something like that, they probably have a computer or a laptop or something. Most everybody's got one.
Yeah.
UMic 1's going to be like $89.
Yeah.
And the REW software is free. So I think with those few tools and a tape measure, if you don't want to do impulse-based time, then you can get a really good result with very little expense. Because I don't want great sound to be only accessible by millionaires.
No,
I want everybody to enjoy great sound, you know? And so I'm always a high value based mindset whenever I approach things. And that's how we learned, you know what I mean? That's how I learned how to tune. That's how Chris learned how to tune. And, you know, since then, you know, through the shop, we get the ability to get some things less expensive. So we've bought and used almost every tuning tool that's available. You know, we've had Nate's mic rig. It's awesome. I've used the Max single moving mic. I've used like True RTA. I've used Home Impulse quite a lot. That's a pretty good free software. What's that?
Open Sound Meter. Have you?
Yeah. Kevin Keene sent me that one to try, and I've used it a little bit, but I'm just a lot more familiar with Room EQ Wizard.
Yeah.
So I just use it the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I use Ruin Smart. Those are my two. You know, when I do my time and impulse and phase.
Smart's a great software. I just like a lot of stuff on the JL Max because it makes it easier to see some stuff in automotive environment, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I still do the same electrical measurements just with my sound card, you know, it's, you know, cause that's pretty much what a JL Max is. Just
it is. But they've got a bunch of cool ins and outs to where you can use it for a lot of different applications.
Oh, for sure. You know, at least for me, I think a lot of people are, you know, not happy with the way Nick phrased things. That's his opinion, and that's great. But for me,
I don't think it's a terrible system at all. I think it's a great system, and I use it, like I said, every single week, multiple times a week, usually. And obviously, there's some people that get excellent results with it. You know, like Jeffrey gets excellent. I've heard his car several times. It always sounds great.
Yeah.
Matt Merkenthal, he's one of the guys that taught the class. I've heard his vehicle a few times, and I know he uses Max all the time, and it sounded really good. So, I mean, I know you can get a good result with it. I'm just having a difficult time myself, and maybe I need to go back to class on correlating what I hear and what I measure with Room EQ Wizard with what shows up on the max screen for RTA purposes. I think the rest of it's dead on. Their impulse measurements are excellent. The phase measurements are excellent.
Yeah, because it uses smart, if I'm not mistaken, right? The
It
background
does.
of yeah,
Yep.
smart, yeah,
And so, I mean, I'm sure there are some refinements I can do, but this other way works, and I'm super familiar and super fast with it.
yeah,
I haven't put that much effort into trying to connect the dots yet,
yeah. Plus for
because
you,
this other way works.
yeah. Plus for you, it also helps kind of keep your motto, which is like you don't need to have expensive equipment to have good sounding car.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes if I'm out somewhere, I'll have my laptop and backpack, but I don't carry that Max everywhere.
Yeah,
It's too expensive. If something breaks or I lose it or gets stolen, I mean, if I drop and break my $89 mic, I'll just buy another one. It'll be okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the Max system's a little more than that. So
Oh, it is, and if other people use it and it works out, that's awesome. Like
yeah,
that's the great thing about all these different tools. Nate's Move Mic Method, the Max, and who
I've
knows how
heard,
many other ways.
dude. I don't know how these guys do it, but I've heard some tunes from some tuners that do it almost entirely by ear,
Yeah,
and have heard some incredible tunes that way.
really.
And unfortunately, I don't have that skill. I used to try to do it that way, and I could do a fair job. But ever since I got more on the measurements side and being able to correlate what I hear with what is measured,
Yeah,
um, then it's definitely got a higher level of performance out of the tunes that I've done.
yeah, and
Because
it.
I mean, I
Oh,
can hear something's wrong, and I'm like, oh man, I think it's in a tweeter area, probably between 4 and 6K or something like that. But I don't know exactly what frequency it is
yeah,
until I break out some measurement, and I'm like, okay, it's like 5,300 hertz,
yeah,
and so now I can fix it.
yeah, and it's super easy. Do you use band limited pink noise whenever you're
Yeah,
done with it? Kind of
yeah,
center it? So when I do band limited pink noise, I kind of, especially in the higher frequencies, when things aren't sounding the way I want them to, I start moving my head around,
yeah, yeah.
start figuring out like, hey, like, am I just hitting like a really bad reflection here, and that's my issue? Um, do you do anything different with that? Into band limited
If
pink?
it's near the crossover frequency between like the tweeter to mid, then it could be just a small timing issue between the two.
Yeah,
And I've fixed some stuff like that. Um, but if it's solely up in the tweeter range, like 8K or something like that, uh, and you can't like move find the right spot reasonably, um, then yeah, I mean, then it's time to rebuild the tweeter pods.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
A
that
lot of
sucks. It
cars.
sucks because I mean, sometimes what looks good isn't what sounds good.
Yeah, you're spot on that. A lot of cars, because the way I tune, for anyone watching this that doesn't know kind of the way I do it, I fly across the US and tune many cars. But those cars are already built. Um, so when I hop in there, especially in the higher frequencies, and I start moving my head, I'm like, this is changing wildly. But if I put my head in a device, I'm like, okay, I can make this spot sound good and just lower it down, for instance, like left 40B and raise the right 40B and like
Yeah,
doing this. Sure, in that one spot, Bailey and Pinto sounded better. But when you play music and you start moving your head from that one spot, you trash the tonality. Uh,
yeah,
so I start being a little more like methodical and careful. I'm like, okay, how am I cutting? What am I cutting? And
yeah. So
I
I've used that method to varying degrees of success.
yeah,
But I tend to not try to make one side wildly different than the other,
yeah,
because if it has to be that way, then there's something like mechanically wrong. You know what I mean, with seating position or speaker position or delay or something else. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. Agreed. Yeah. So it seems like we really do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that anybody has any like, this is the secret. This is how the cars sound amazing. I think we all kind of do the same thing.
Except Kevin Keene, he's doing something. We just gotta
Hey,
figure it
Kevin's the man.
out. Yo, Kevin
I
is
don't
man.
I don't think a lot of people know it, but he he's an awesome tuner.
Yes, he is. So if anyone's in the Tennessee area, go to Mike Myers, go there, go visit him. Kevin Keen's there as well. Cook's in Alabama. There's a whole bunch of great people just around that area that
Hey,
know.
it was that Mecca time frame. I'm telling you, it was real competitive back then. Like it pushed everybody to learn and get better.
Yeah.
And Kevin and I learned around the same time. So like I think I was at the first contest that he competed at with his Santa Fe. I think it was like 2013. I
Mhm.
had my truck. I had a Nissan Frontier, and he had at Santa Fe. And it's a funny story. He probably doesn't want me to tell it, but so we had got finished judging, and he had listened to my vehicle, and he wanted me to come listen to his. He was having a problem. He couldn't describe what it was.
Yeah.
So I listened to it, and I was like, the center is like super diffused. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his front stage was like a 2A, like a 6.5 in tweeter,
Mhm.
and it sounded good, tonally really good, but at the same time, like the center just like wasn't there. And I was like, do you like do you have like an Auto Sound 2000 like test disc or something like that?
Mhm.
So I don't know if it was that or it was like an older Iasca disc, but anyway, we played My Voice is in Phase and My Voice is out of phase.
Yeah.
And when he says My Voice is out of phase, it was like dead center. And I was
You're
like,
like,
oh,
polarity.
I was like, man, you got one of the mids like reverse polarity.
Yeah.
And I was like, pick a side. I don't know which side you got wrong, but pick a side and then flip it, and then we'll take a listen to it, and then we'll have to check between mid bass to sub
Yeah.
to see if he got the right side flipped. And then as soon as he flipped it, you could tell on his face, it's like, I can't believe I messed that up.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I haven't really seen him make a mistake, but that guy can definitely tune. But we added him to Sound Team 6, and either that year or the year after, maybe 2014, because we were both at the same finals.
Gotcha.
And he has gotten extremely good at tuning.
Yes. Yeah. Him and I, we chat good amount.
Yeah.
And we'll just bounce ideas off of each other. He's like, "Have you done this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've tried." Or I ask him, and he's like, "I don't know. Let me try," and he'll try, and we'll just kind of just like bounce ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kevin King, he's a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And his cars, that Rav4, first off, 100% should have beat me at Iasca finals.
That thing sounds awesome.
Yeah, it did. It beat me by 3 points the very first time around. And I remember like reaching out to him. I was like, "Hey, I know you don't know me, but I know you." And I was like, "You beat my points. I know how, because like I'm still like trying to understand competition and all this." He's like, "Oh wait, you're the guy that Mike Myers said I really should have listened to your car." I was like,
Yeah.
"Maybe." Like, I don't know. He's like, "You own a Mazda?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh yeah, it's you." But ever since then, him and I just have just become really good friends, and it just blows my mind the stuff that he's doing with like relatively inexpensive equipment.
Yeah. His is one of the only ones that has like a 6.5 and then rear sub that does pretty good. Like I don't. It could maybe benefit from a front sub, but I don't know, man. It's pretty solid the way it sits.
It's good.
So I don't know if I would really honestly mess with it, but um, he's got it working pretty good. I don't know where his crossover set. I expect it's probably around 70 hertz, but he's making it work pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I did the same thing in my blue car when I had that Scion.
yeah.
Um, it sounded decent some days.
Here we go. The humble mic. Um, are there? I'm gonna end it with this. Are there any cars that you have heard throughout your life that have been very influential in the way you now maneuver, install, tune, and stuff like that? That's just like solidified in your brain. Like, holy crap, this is phenomenal, and I just want to be like it.
Yeah, for sure. So like the very first one would have been Mark's Forerunner,
Gotcha.
like back in like 96, 97 when we got to hear that thing. Uh, it set the bar so high though that hell, I don't even know if I've still attained it, but
Mm.
it was pretty incredible. Like
Yeah.
that thing's, and it could be one of those things. It's better remembered than it was, but I
Mhm.
mean, like the distance to stage on that thing was like that's the furthest I've ever heard. It was insane. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty awesome. So that one sound and install wise. I mean, I still don't install like that.
Yeah.
My style is like an OEM plus kind of a thing,
Mhm.
I like to use stock locations as long as the vehicle's got decent stock locations, um, and just kind of build off of that
Gotcha.
is the way I'd like to do. But
Yeah.
some cars don't have very good stock locations, so you got to build something,
Yeah.
like pillars and stuff. So then, like after that, once we started getting back into competition, like in 2012, 2013, those other guys that we were competing against and would see regularly at those shows, like I remember Demetrius Willingham's Altima. I think it's an Altima. It sounded like the staging on it was incredible, man.
Yeah.
Like the stage height and everything. It really kind of changed how I thought. I thought mids had to be like in the kick panels and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
then when I heard his like in the dash, like the stock locations in his Altima, it was awesome. And it really kind of changed the way I thought about building stuff.
Hmm.
So his was one. Um, and then after that, like as far as I used to think you'd have to have like a pretty big car to get like a bigger sound and stuff like that until I heard like Natan Budiono's, Suzuki.
Yep.
And I was like, man, this thing is kind of amazing. And I
Yeah.
don't know how it sounds like when it changes recording to recording, the room size changes with it. I guess pretty awesome that a few other cars do super well,
Yeah.
especially for a super small car. Like that's one of the smaller cars I've
Mhm.
judged, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I mean, those are probably three that really kind of changed um, what I thought was possible,
Hmm.
or how I do things.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned a Tom's car.
Yeah,
To me, it's your car for the same reason that Demetrius did it for you, which was like
yeah,
he doesn't have much here, but how is he getting this? And then
yeah. It's like wow.
yeah, the Tom's the complete opposite, which is like so
Yeah,
many things in your face, and it
yeah,
just completely disappears. And
yeah,
you have this like larger than life, if you will, soundstage and impact and dynamics, and it's like, what is he doing? And then it's Natan. He would
yeah.
just start doing hand movements and does this and
yeah,
explain everything to you, but he says
uh,
words. I'm like, all right, Natan. Uh,
yeah,
but those two cars, at least for me in my head, are always the ones where I look back and I'm like, that's what I want to achieve. And hopefully now with the Tesla, the Mazda was getting, it was all right. It was like
it was
50%
good.
I wanted. It was all right. It could have been a lot better. There were just so many install limitations because of the vehicle that it just
Mm,
like I couldn't overcome.
yeah,
So got rid of it. Not only because of audio, I just didn't like the vehicle inside. I love the way it looked outside. It just didn't fit me well. So I got rid of it and finally found the Tesla. And I was like, oh, this works for two things. One, it's an American bigger sized car inside.
yeah,
It was the same size as the Mazda because electric, everything's kind of pushed out. So that helped. I'm like, and this thing is an awesome platform from audio.
yeah,
It was kind of like a win-win.
yeah. You got to do quite a bit of sound editing on them, but the stock locations are really well thought out, and
Yeah.
they work great.
Yeah, the new one, because I know when I tuned Aaron Hardison's, that one, I was like, okay, this is I now understand what people talk about build quality of Tesla. The new 2026 is a complete 180 from the old.
Oh, nice. I haven't worked on a new one yet, so
Yeah, they are.
does yours have like the weird mids in the doors too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you
So
going to use those?
not right now. I'm not planning
Yeah.
to. Right now, I'm using just the stock locations
Yeah.
for
Like the
new
dash
one.
location.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are doing some custom parts in there. I know we're gonna kind of make it like semi-sealed, like almost
Hmm.
aperiodic type.
Okay.
I'm not using the door locations for two reasons. One, I just don't want to use them. I don't like the tactile feel.
Yeah.
And two, I'm gonna right now we're thinking about having him in the Mercedes Benz kind of style, like a fix to the
Yeah.
firewall, but sealed. So the Accutons are gonna go, midbase are gonna go there, and I'm putting the C10 currently right now, if we can fit it inside the center console, but like almost touching the firewall. So like
Oh yeah.
really far ahead of you.
Yeah.
And then he's pushing me to do 218s. I don't want to do 218s, but I'm pretty sure I got talked into doing 218s.
Yeah. You're like Austin.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, I don't need 218s, but it's probably
Yeah, sure you do. Yeah.
you're like, sure, why not?
I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah. But yeah, my goal is to be everything that I was missing in the Mazda, just done at a much higher level. Like took all my lessons learned
Yeah.
and like, apply it to the Tesla, because hopefully the Tesla's going to be around for a long time.
Yeah. I want to try to get a Mercedes next.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if I can pull it off or not, but I can probably afford the car. I just don't know what the maintenance is like on them. I don't know if it's super high.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to afford it, you
know.
But I mean, I'll after working on like Scott Boala's Mercedes,
yeah.
It was a lot easier to work on than I first expected. You know, like it's an AMG, and I was like, man, this thing kind of expensive. I didn't know if it was gonna be pretty difficult to work on, but it's actually easier than like a new Civic, honestly. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I would have thought that. Yeah, I've tuned several S classes, which is stock location. The older ones where they had the mid ranges, kind of like Peters is, where it's higher up.
Higher, yeah. I don't like the new ones where they moved them like way
down.
Yeah. I would probably have to get a C class because I can't afford a higher one. But that's the first one that's got like the firewall mid bases, you know?
Yeah. And it works. It works extremely well. And like all stock location, and because you don't really have nothing in the door, not much sound deadening has to be done. Plus it's an S class, so it's already well deadened.
Right.
So it just works. You know, when I first went to go drive the Tesla, I was actually looking, because I talked to you at Pigeon Forge. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm thinking about getting a Tesla, and I was going to get the Plaid. Plaid. And I test drove. They don't let you drive they didn't let me drive a Plaid. But they say like, we don't let people drive Plaids, but we drive, we loan them out throughout the night, the one below. I was like, okay, cool. Dude, this had to be the crappiest car I've been in a very long time. Dude, I went on the highway and everything was rattling. Like, I'm not even lying or exaggerating. I'm like, how much? So I asked Bree, I'm like, how much are they asking for this? 90,000. I'm like, no world am I paying 90 grand for that is falling apart. So I went back the next day, like, what you think? I was like, honestly? They're like, yeah. I was like, are you sure you want my honest answer? They're like, and I told them, I'm like, this has to be one of the worst cars I've driven in a very long time. And they asked me why, and I told them. And they're like, we hear you. We've had this complaint a lot. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, so if you get this complaint a lot, why did you ask me what I think? You already know I'm going to think what everyone else thinks.
Right.
But they were like, okay, there's a brand new Model Y. And I literally, I was like, I'm not driving a Model Y, dude. He's like, no, listen. He's like, it just came out 3 weeks ago. He's like, our first shipment's coming in. And I was like, okay. And then as the truck pulls in, he's like, there's our first shipment right there. He's like, completely redone from head to toe. He's like, this is supposed to be the fix of all the issues people have with Tesla, the build quality, all that. This is the fix for it. I was like, whatever. So I took it for a quick test drive. First 30 seconds, I was like, this is much better than the Model X.
Oh, nice. Good.
And you can press on things hard, nothing moved, nothing creaked. Like, I literally put like half my body weight on the dash and just like try to force it down. Nothing. I was like, wow, this is a lot better. And had dual pane glass all the way through to include sunroof, all 4 windows, the windshield. So it was a very quiet car. Right. And I was like, dude, it was cheap after the rebate and everything. I think I only paid like 43 grand for it. I'm like, yeah, give me this. And I had a 1.99% interest rate because of the promo. I'm like, you guys are making this too easy. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you 26 grand for your Mazda. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, dude, I had 53,000 miles on that car. And I'm just like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. So that's how I ended up with the Tesla.
I get it.
But yeah, but that's all I got, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, anytime, man.
Yeah, dude. Once again, thank you for bottom of my heart for being one of my friends and my really good mentor.
If you need anything, always call me, man.
Always, dude. Well, peace out, everybody. Mike, don't leave just yet.
All right.
Bye, guys.